Welcome back to Sparks of Joy Studio. Let's get started with today's thrift flips. This is a cute little wooden sign that I had found for, I think it was like $2 at the most at the Goodwill, the regular Goodwill. And I love that it already had that sawtooth hanger as well as another type of kind of stand for this. So it could function as a shelf sitter or as wall decor, which I thought was really versatile and lovely. I didn't want to change anything about that. I just sanded down this image that was on the front. It wasn't raised or anything, but I wanted to kind of bring it back a little bit before I painted. I decided to use Dixie Belle's chalk paint in the color Buttercream, and this actually provided some really good coverage. I didn't get any kind of bleed through, and it was the perfect paint for what we were going to do next. I gave this 2 coats and then just very lightly sanded it back a bit before moving on to the next step. Once that paint was dry and I had that light sanding finished, I got this stencil that I had in my stash. I love that it fit perfectly on here. I should say this, the text fits perfectly. Those little swooshes that are on the left and right side did not fit onto the sign, but I was okay with that because it really didn't impede I don't know, the style of the design. I am using a blue paint by Fusion. I believe this is uh, Willow Creek, or I can't remember. I will leave a link in the description box for the name of it. I do remember getting this from Sonnet's Maker's Box a few months ago, and it's a really, really pretty deep blue. I am using a very, very rough brush. This is actually like a kid's paintbrush, so it's very, very rough, but it's very coarse and kind of not as like bendable. So it makes it very easy to stencil with this in this method. I use a swirling motion and then I also use a pouncing motion to get all of the paint onto that piece and very slowly lift it back when I'm done to reveal my image. Once that paint was dry, I came back with an artist brush and that same paint, and I am just filling in the lines where the stencil was to kind of allow the text to be a little more cohesive and natural on the piece. The top lettering did not have any issues. All of it was together, but when you are using one of those cursive and more swirly like fonts, you're going to see a lot more places where those like little lines will be. So I grabbed a very tiny artist brush. You can see I switched out my brush for something even smaller than what I had started with. And I am just going across the piece very slowly to fill in those little gaps. I did a very light sanding across the piece once it was dry, just to help it look a little bit more rustic, a little more aged, a little more farmhouse. And here's a look at our finished project. Before we move on, I just wanted to quickly remind you about the 30% off the 30th of the month that happens every month on my website. It includes all of the items within my shop. That would be Connie Lines and Designs decoupage paper, and that includes all of her 17 new papers that just recently released, as well as the holiday and seasonal items. It includes everything in the home decor section, wood cutouts, digital downloads, which if you didn't see, I do have some new, beautiful, more vintage looking images available on my website now. And then the very special section that is being managed and has been created by my children. So this is the very special toy shop that they have created to sell their toys. Now, I am just showing you this because I promised them I would. I will let you know that it is completely up to you if you'd like to look on there or not. I have already talked to them about some of their pricing, and I told them if it doesn't sell, they will need to reduce the price. So do not feel obligated in any way, shape, or form to purchase any of those items. But it is fun to teach them about how to develop and maintain a website. We've had a lot of fun with that this summer. All right, back to the projects. I have this little watering can that I recently thrifted from the Goodwill, the regular Goodwill. It was maybe $2 or $3. And I created a custom color using the Cottage color in white. I forget, I think it's linen is the name. I'm not sure, but it's whatever the whitest white is that you can find in the line that is one of the older, more original colors. And I mixed it with just a bit of Walk on Water, which is one of the newer DIY paint colors. My reason for wanting to mix this color is that I was watching on this day when I was painting this, I was watching Jamie and Zeb, and they were painting, or Jamie was painting a chair in the color Azure, which was a Cottage color I didn't have yet. I now have it, and I can't wait to show you how I use it on a project, but I wanted to come up with a color as similar to that as possible. And I will show you I think in another clip, how close it ended up. It ended up being very similar to the color that I wanted to achieve. So I was very happy with that. I go ahead and give this one good solid coat of that color, both inside and out of this watering can, and then we will move on. Here's how that color dried down and what it looks like after it was sealed. So now that it is completely sealed, we are going to take Skeleton Key by DIY, which is a clay-based paint, and paint over the original color. Now, I would have never thought to put these two colors together, but for some reason, while I was on my walk in the morning of working on this project, I just had an idea, and I felt like Skeleton Key was a color that I've had for a while in my stash. I also really like how it has that blue-gray tone, and I felt that that would kind of complement the blue color. So the blue color, I felt, not everybody would like a color that bright, but little pops of it peeking through that gray, I thought would look really nice. So that was kind of what I was going for here. I'm going to give the entire outside and bottom of this watering can a coat of that paint. I just went back in a second time just to kind of touch up. I didn't do two full coats or anything like that because I did want to wet distress. Okay, I am trying something new right now. I am actually working from a different spot in my house. I am getting a little bit overwhelmed, I guess, working in my basement because of the lack of real sunlight. It's just not as, I don't know, it's hard in the middle of the summer to want to work there. So I figured I would set up a space for myself that is a little bit more in a lighter area where I can see outside, as well as finding a way to work efficiently. So I am going to be trying to talk through this. What I'm doing now, you saw that I have painted, but I am just wiping back, and you see this has now been painted with Skeleton Key, and now I'm just wiping back a little bit to reveal some of that blue, that really bright blue. And even in some places, some of the white came back, which is the original color of this watering can. So I liked that a lot. Once that was dry, I came back with some Minwax in a satin finish, and I am just using that to seal my project. This is the same as using like Big Top by DIY. You just want to make sure that if you're going to be applying transfers, which is what I plan to do here, I am using a polyacrylic sealer instead of wax. That allows the transfer to adhere better to your project versus letting it just dry and trying to apply the transfer right onto that clay-based paint, or trying to use a wax and then trying to transfer the transfer on. So this is the best method. I also was okay with that satin finish because having a little bit of a sheen on this metal container, I felt kind of lent itself to that. It looks good that way versus something more matte finish. It doesn't mean you can't do it. Everybody has their own style that they like, and I see that gloss is becoming a little bit more popular recently. So I actually just recently picked up a can of that to kind of see how that would look on some of my projects. So we'll be able to look into that in a future video. I grabbed these transfers from my stash. I believe this is from the Rose Botanical Transfer Set by IOD, but if I'm wrong, feel free to comment below and let me know. When I pull these booklets apart, I forget to kind of have them grouped together. So sometimes I get the name of the transfer sheet wrong. It's a little easier with the stamp sets and the molds because the names are right on there. With the transfer book, once you pull them out of the book, it's a little harder to remember. I grabbed a couple of the roses that are kind of a reddish pink, and then one of them did have a little bit of a white rose on there. And I am just positioning them so that the stem kind of pulls out from some sort of edge on the or crease on the watering can. So from here I'm going from the spout of the watering can out, and on the other transfer that I place on the other side I'm going from the handle out to the middle. So I just wanted to kind of give it a little extra without being too much on this watering can, and I really liked how those colors kind of matched or paired with the water, or the, what is the color? Walk on water and the skeleton key. I'm not sure if you remember these two little birdhouses that I had thrifted a little while back, and they both had the sawtooth hanger on the back already, so it's perfect for wall decor or can stand on its own, so it is a good shelf sitter as well. I wasn't really sure what color to paint them. These are not the original colors. I, tried some oakum, which is what you see on the left. I tried some white, and I couldn't really find something that like spoke to me, if that makes sense. So I had a lot of that extra blue paint, and I decided to use that to paint both of these houses in the same color. Once that paint was dry, I did give it a quick spray seal just to set it up for the next step. This is not the final sealing I am doing on this project. I gave just the edges of the roof and the base of these two little birdhouses a quick sand just so that it looked a little bit. It's funny, I wanted it to look cleaner, but by distressing it. So that's kind of my decision on this. I am now grabbing some pieces from the Lost Garden transfer set. I apologize for the camera angle. I really just wanted to pull tiny little bits to kind of cut apart and put back together only within the inside part of that house. So not on the roof and not on the base at all, just where that circle is and around that. I did not film all of the steps of this, mainly because putting a project together like this is like doing a puzzle. Any thrifted find that you have will likely be different in what parts of the transfer you would use and how you would put it together, because you really want it to work for the specific piece you're working on. So if you want to try to create a project like this, I would worry more about making sure that you're finding the pieces that work for you, not so much copying what I'm doing exactly, because it will probably frustrate you. For my last project today, I have this coffee container that I thrifted. It is a metal container. It has a great lid. It actually had like a rubber piece that was on it, but I actually removed that and it still opens and closes really nicely regardless. I have already spray sealed it so that I could paint over it, and I didn't want any of that to kind of like come off. Sometimes you have some difficulty, especially with an all-in-one paint, painting onto metal. So using that spray seal really does help. I'm going to be using the color Chateau by Fusion to give this entire piece, including the lid, a coat. I am not going to paint the inside, just around the outside and the bottom of the can. The color is not very different, but I really wanted to cover up that sign that was on there, or that I don't know, the stamp, whatever was printed on there, so that I could put my own image on there. And we're going to be doing some play with a crackle medium. So I'm really excited to show you that. It was my first time actually doing this successfully for this project. We're going to give it two coats of that chateau, and then we'll move on to the next step. Now that that container is all dry, I'm grabbing this transfer from one of the newer transfer sets by IOD. It's the Home Sweet Home set, and I am going to be placing this image in the middle of the can. I want to make sure that I stay on the side of the can that does not have that crease, or that part, that enclosure that it connects at the back. Oh my gosh, I don't know if that even makes sense, but I'm going to transfer this on, and then once that's done, I do seal everything with a polyacrylic sealer before moving on with to my crackle medium. I will be using the crackle varnish for this project, and this is by Pentart. It is, like I said, it's the first time I've done this, I believe, successfully. I think there might have been another project where I kind of got what I was looking for, but this is one where I was like very careful about each step in the process. So let me explain the best way to go about this from somebody who tried to do it a different way and it was not successful at all. I'm going to take crackle step one. So this is the first component one or step one, whatever it's called. And you want to brush it onto your piece in strokes that do not overlap. So you're not painting over multiple times or overworking the paint or this medium in any way. I did avoid the transfer because I wasn't sure what to expect. You can see I got a little bit on, but the part in the middle, I really try to avoid that step. Once I have the entire outside of this canister covered, I allow that medium to dry fully. You can heat set it if you want, but you cannot move on to the next step until your canister or container or whatever project you're working on is no longer warm. If it's still hot, it's going to impact the project and what kind of crackle you get out of it. So we're going to go ahead, finish this up, allow it to completely dry, and then move on to step two. When you are putting step two onto your piece, you're going to work in the same fashion, trying very hard not to overwork the paint or go over any of the spaces more than one time. I will also say another recommendation based on the how-to instructions I have. It does say to use a dry brush. So sometimes I will grab a brush that I've recently washed and just start using it again. I wanted to follow every step in this to a T. So I did get a brand new brush that was completely dry before I started working on this step. I'm going to cover the entire piece with that step two, and again, allow it to completely dry. And you will start to see some of the crackles if you look very closely, but you won't be able to get I think the added effect that you really want to get until you use that finish, which would be like a antiquing glaze or some sort of other finish to allow those crackles to really stand out. I am using Dixie Belle's Van Dyke Brown Glaze for this project. I have watered it down just slightly to kind of make sure that if it's too dark, I was worried I wasn't going to be able to pull it back. And then I do end up coming back with a damp rag to bring back any excess, which really allowed that crackle to show up in various patches. It was interesting to see where the crackle was more prominent and other places where the crackle didn't end up coming through it all. So I do think that natural effect is really fun when you're doing a project like this. It's kind of like when you're working with milk paint and you don't know what to expect. This has a very similar kind of character to it, I guess. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. And don't forget, everything on my website is 30% off for the rest of today and all the way through the 30th till midnight. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you very soon.